Hello, I'm David Chaston with 90 at 9, brought to you by interest.co.nz. This week, get everything you need to know in 90 seconds at 9 o'clock. With news, Aussie bank behaviour has cost them the support of their centre-right government. But first, in the US, the latest data out on jobless claims came in slightly worse than expected. In June, factory orders fell, although this was just a confirmation of an earlier flash report. Economic news is slim out of the world's largest economy at present, as they are on annual holiday mode. In Australia, their government has moved to force the banks to explain their key policies to parliamentarians in a formal way. This follows anger at the big commercial banks capturing about half of the recent policy rate cut by the central bank and capturing it for themselves and not passing it on to their customers. Anger at banks' behaviour has risen particularly sharply this year. Until recently, the centre-right government has insulated them from many consequences, but it looks like that cover is now withdrawn. In China, they're about to launch their own credit default swap market, a hedging tool that protects investors in case of bond defaults. Chinese corporates have been increasingly defaulting on their debt recently. In Europe, the EU has imposed anti-dumping tariffs on Chinese and Russian steel imports for the next 5 years in a fresh effort to protect their own local steelmakers who are struggling with the consequences of overcapacity in the world's steelmaking industry. In England, their central bank cut its core policy rate to a new low of 0.25% and said it would buy government and corporate bonds as part of a new program to stimulate their economy that has taken a sharp economic shock following the Brexit vote. The immediate market reaction was a fall in bond yields and a fall in their local currency. In New York, US Treasury 10 yields are lower today at 1.5%, and the re-rating of the credit risk for New Zealand's sovereign debt continued as impressive improvement. And keep an eye out on the local 2-year swap rate today. It could well fall below 2%, accentuating its track lower that started way back in June 2014. It went below 4% in October 2014, below 3% in July 2015, and it's fallen another 100 basis points since then. The US benchmark oil price has had another day of rises. Crude is now just under $42 a barrel, and the Brent benchmark is just over $44 a barrel. The gold price is up as well, now at $1,361 an ounce. And the New Zealand dollar is marginally higher than this time yesterday, opening at 71.8 US cents, 94.1 Aussie cents and 64.5 euro cents. The TWI is at 75. I'm David Chaston. That was 90 at 9, brought to you by interest.co.nz.